Standard Chartered presents CNBC TV 18 Leadership Collective.
You're watching our conversation here on CNBC TV 18, the Leadership Collective, India Inc., in conversation with the Chief Economic Advisor, Krishnamurthy Subramanian. Dr. Subramanian, many thanks for joining us here on this special show as we talk about what digitization could mean for the Indian economy and for our objectives to transform many aspects of the Indian economy. So let me come straight to you. From e-commerce to financial inclusion to e-governance, there have been many changes that have been brought about by the adoption of technology and the move towards digitization. Explain to me what the priorities are now going to be as far as the government is concerned, specifically over the next 12 to 18 months. In the near term, what will the priorities be to focus on when we talk about digitization?
Thank you very much, Sharon, for inviting me to share my thoughts, and a very good evening to all the viewers. So I think I was just hearing the conversation on the unicorns, and that is something that has actually been powered by the significant digitization of the economy. If you recall, after demonetization, this process of digitization of the economy started. There's several papers now actually showing as well how demonetization has really accelerated the digitization, and I think COVID has particularly pushed this pace of acceleration even more. In fact, for instance, the way in which the entire support measures were administered wouldn't have been possible but for the digitization of the economy, through the JAM Trinity, for instance. Now, if you look at the future, I think one of the major changes that was brought is the opening up of the cryptography, and I think that is something that is very, very important for a lot of startups, because startups can use the data that is provided there to be able to come up with a lot of innovative ideas. And I think I was hearing the earlier speakers mention as well that we do need the startup ecosystem to really sort of pitchfork on this huge digitization that has happened, to try and provide solutions for a lot of areas where where there are still market failures. And I think that is where I actually foresee education is certainly one area. Healthcare is another area. I think even in the case of if you look at the older population, given that our demographics are changing going forward, I think geriatric care, these are areas where actually I think the digital economy can really play a crucial role. Especially, I would say, I think collectively, if you think about this, it is the human capital, areas of human capital where the digital economy, I think, will play a very important role going forward.
Well, in the context of the digital economy, let me ask you about digital capital and digital currency. We still have no clarity on what position India will finally take as far as the cryptocurrency regulation is concerned. We were expecting the bill in this session of Parliament. It's now likely to be taken up in the next session of Parliament. And there's been a fair amount of back and forth on whether there should be a complete ban or there should be a window left open. The RBI has made its position very clear that it foresees significant challenges, and RBI-led digital currency is the way forward, not private cryptocurrencies. Has there been a change of heart, a change of thinking? Do you believe that there needs to be some flexibility given as opposed to a blanket ban?
Sharon, when we think about financial innovations, and cryptocurrency, finally is a financial innovation, I think the benchmark that we have to use is what is the benefit it creates for the real economy. Is it an innovation that actually will just continue a zero-sum game where some people win, some people lose, but does not really add much to the real economy? If that is the case, then I think the benefits from such innovations, as was seen during the global financial crisis as well, would be something that actually we have to really consider. To the extent that these digital currencies actually use distributed ledgers, blockchains, and I think the innovations there, to the extent that that can actually bring in investment that let's say the existing currencies cannot. I think that may be one way of thinking about it, but I'm still to see some of these effects manifesting. At this point in time, it is primarily a way for for people to sort of participate in these assets, primarily for for sort of some gains and losses. So I don't think I'm seeing the benefits on the real sector as yet.
Okay, you're not seeing the benefits in the real sector as yet, but do you oppose recognizing it as an asset class, which is what it is currently, while still keeping the doors shut on its use as a currency?
I would go back to the response that I just gave, Sharon, that whenever you think about a currency, and currency is an asset that is different from from other assets, and typically there are this has been an area where sovereigns have been operative, and those are for very good economic reasons. So I think the benchmark of whether or not these will benefit the real economy still stays, and therefore I don't think our position is actually revised on that part.
Okay, let me ask you a different question, moving a little bit away from cryptocurrency and digitization to a larger issue around the economy. And this is again an issue where we've seen a fair amount of back and forth in the context of a parliamentary standing committee's recommendations. I'm talking about the IBC. We've got a former banker and a current banker, as well as a whole bunch of leaders from India Inc. who are also going to be watching this space very closely. Are you in favor of changes that are being proposed at this point in time, be it the Parliamentary Standing Committee or feedback that's coming from industry as well, as far as the IBC is concerned?
In fact, Sharon, the Secretary, MCA, and I have been in deliberations with several stakeholders in trying to get their feedback on some of the tweaks that possibly will be required for IBC to become, even more potent. I think, we have traversed very important distance. I was mentioning in the morning, at a CII event, that the earlier mindset of, of feudalism that used to prevail among the corporates, I think has been now done away with, because, in a capitalistic economy, I think any feudal mindsets actually sort of sound very misplaced. I think IBC has played a very critical role in that change. But I think we still need to get few more things that, are sort of difficult aspects which we need to work together. And the consultations are going on in that regard. As we've already shown, the government has shown that it walks the talk, and so the feedback that is coming in will definitely be assimilated, considered very seriously, and will be actioned upon.
Okay. Before I get the leaders to pitch in with their comments or questions that they may have for you in terms of the government's priorities, a question on the national monetization pipeline that's just been unveiled by the government, 6 lakh crore rupees over the next few years, with a significant value of that coming in from 5 sectors, including roads, railways, airports, etc. One of the concerns that has been expressed by people who have studied this is that there is a need for regulators to be put in place to ensure that we don't create private sector monopolies across these sectors as the assets are monetized. Is that something that you believe is the order of the day, is the need of the hour as well, since the government is serious about taking the monetization forward?
Sharon, I think that's a very important point that needs to be considered and focused on, irrespective of asset monetization. Whenever you talk about a capitalist economy, and if you would recall in the 2020 survey, we had actually written this chapter on pro-business versus pro-crony. And what we had said there actually is that, we have to have markets where, there is opportunity for new ideas to come in. And therefore, in that context, I think competition is something which is very important.